Hey guys, sorry I didn't make an event. Must have forgotten during the week to make the event. So sorry that it's kind of last minute. But yeah, welcome back to live on Wednesdays, live streaming here on YouTube on Wednesdays. You can ask anything about analog photography, and I'll try to do my best to answer it. So yeah, sorry for being a little late, and I'm not having an event. Hi, Hal. I guess you guys are getting notifications now. I just got my email. But yeah, as you saw yesterday, finally, Across is officially discontinuing, being discontinued, and I've been told today by the Cantrell Project, a viewer, subscriber of the channel, the B&H has already listed it as discontinued, which is very interesting because I would not think they would do that considering they said October. So Fuji Across 5-pack is discontinued as what they say today: 35-2, 10-pack 2, 4x5 2, 120 and single rolls 2. So B&H is, I guess, given up on done. Let me see. Hi, Michael. Hi, JKL. Man, I just bought a Deuced M601. So excited to start printing in the darkroom. How's the Kickstarter reward and video going? Good question, Hal. If you've seen that I've stopped uploading so many videos lately, I had a bit of a streak with uploading large format videos and kits and things like that. And I've stopped this because I've decided that I couldn't postpone the editing of the Kickstarter, and I'm working only on that, except for the news and the live streams, which I'll keep on doing. But I spent today pretty much most of the afternoon editing, and I would say I probably have one more editing day to finish the documentary. And I quote it like that because, I mean, I feel like a documentary should be maybe more. But for what it is, I think it's interesting to hear a bit of the history of Intrepid and see behind the scenes of how they make them. I included the clip of the enlarger source, which I put a little bit on the news yesterday. And yeah, basically that's done, almost done. I have like one more sit down to finish it. And then I'll probably post it on Kickstarter as I did before, a few days before, maybe a day before, just to share with you guys that backed the project. And the rewards, I printed most of them, but a few prints I didn't like, so I'm reprinting. And a few prints are missing from people told me different sizes, and I didn't have the paper, so I ordered it. So I'm changing, but everyone will get their prints. How you probably will get your Patreon print too, included in the pack with the Kickstarter, because Hal is also a Patreon. So thank you, Hal, for all your support, and you'll be getting a bit of that. But it's going. I've decided, as I told you guys right now, is that I really have to put a break on making more content or new content because it just makes me, I guess, stressed in the sense that I have to finish the Kickstarter and I'm making new stuff, and I want to make new stuff, but I don't want to do it without finishing my old stuff. So yeah, hopefully it'll be done, and I will be posting it probably this weekend, beginning of the next week, if nothing goes very wrong. So yeah, that's how it's going. Like JKL says, yes, rest in peace, Across. And TV Photo, hello, Leighton. Nice to see you. Leighton's here, but he's got to leave. Managed to get, managed to get some photography national newspapers. But it was digital. No worries. Federico, hey, how says B&H already dropped Across, better buy local to buy some. The place I'm getting the Across for the giveaway, which already was announced, is basically still fully stocked, which is strange. They haven't noticed one single roll extra being sold. I guess Spanish people have already moved on. But yeah, I'm tempted in getting a few more rolls just to maybe do some goodbye to Acros and shoot some scenes and something. So let me know if you guys think I should do something like that. Get maybe 10 rolls for myself and shoot some long exposures, or compare it to T-Max 100 or T-Max 400 or Delta 100 FP4, something like that. Maybe something like, you know, fun shooting and comparing. Let me see. Oscar Allison, hey. Cantrell Project, thanks for letting me know about Acros being gone on B&H. I just mentioned you right now about that. Shoot birds at the river. I don't know what you mean by that. But yeah, as I just said, the Kickstarter video is almost done. I'll post a few pictures on the Patreon Lens thing to share the timeline. I'm having a hard time finishing the B-roll into the main, how do you say, narration. So I'm trying to fit, you know, B-roll so it looks interesting, not make it too long, find some music that can be interesting but not too distracting. It's much harder than I ever thought, making a video like that. It's very fun and learning a lot, and but it's a lot of work, especially having so much footage, and I feel I have nothing to what I would have wanted to record. If I ever do another photo stories, which I hope to do, I'm gonna record like 3 times more footage, because it ends up becoming so short when you use it as B-roll, because a lot of it might be just fillers or it's not worth it. So yeah, that's what's coming. Kicker, do you feel there's much benefit to shooting 4x5 in large format with a camera system that doesn't have fully articulated bellows? Example, Polaroid conversions, why not just use a Hasselblad? Okay, so this is something that's gonna come soon on a video I'm making, and it's basically what's the benefit of shooting, for example, as you say, no movements with a 4x5. So for example, like you said, a Polaroid conversion, a travel wide, the Campbell wide cameras and stuff like that. So the main issue with that, or the main benefit with that, is the fact that you have a huge negative. So having a huge negative means that you can enlarge with basically losing no detail. There's no grain or super fine grain. There's a much bigger latitude in the tones. So basically the tones are much smoother. When you are enlarging 35, for example, and you do an 8x10, think about how many times you're enlarging that print. So even though your negative might have all the tones in the world, you shot Acros and you developed it in Pyro or something like that, the moment you enlarge it, you're going to lose that tonality, and you're going to have to be playing with a lot of dodging and burning to manage to get all that grayscale, you know, like shades of gray on your print. But when you're shooting 4x5, even if it's as a point and shoot, just pointing and shooting, no movements, no nothing, you're getting a negative that's 4x5. And if you're shooting 8x10, you're enlarging that just basically, it's like a square. So, you know, it's like 4 times bigger. I think it's called by 2, but I don't know. I always make mistakes with that. But it's a 2x, basically. You're making it double. And that has so much more information. And the benefits, to me, is basically that. It's the size. The negatives look amazing. The contact prints look amazing. Would I recommend getting into that if all you're going to shoot is basically a point and shoot 4x5? Yes, if you think you need that extra detail. If you like doing contact prints and not having to work with them a lot, because contact prints in 4x5, I'm telling you, as you're not enlarging, there's so much tone to it on the negative that print looks amazing with doing basically nothing. But yeah, so that's what I would say. But yeah, if you're just doing it for something quick and easy, fun, I would say suggest getting either a cheap camera and shooting for fun. But I will be releasing a video on the travel wide, and that video will probably come with a giveaway of a travel wide kit. So if you guys are into that, you will have to just wait for my video to come down. But first, the Intrepid video. JKL, when is Ferrania color negative film coming? Well, from my conversation with Dave Bias, and I don't think I can disclose exactly what's coming down the road, or I don't even think it's 100%, you know, on the table what's coming next. But color negative was not something that was mentioned. I can say that, I feel. I think down the line, we're going to see black and white emotions, maybe different speeds, with one especially interesting, at least to me, because I very much miss it from Fuji. Not that it will be exactly the same as Fuji's emotion, but I really love that film and I miss it. And it was a Neopan, and it was discontinued a while ago. Probably the first Neopan film to be discontinued. Maybe that will give you a hint. But yeah, 120 will be coming soon. I think different speed, P30 will be coming soon. And slide film will be first before color negative. I think color negative will probably be the last thing they'll come out if they do come out with color negative. NagitaNet says, hey there, Nico. I've been sourcing 35mm film, and the Dutch middlemen are price gouging on many common films. Better to mail order it from Belgium or Germany, such a difference in price. Well, for those in Europe, I highly recommend checking out, as you say, Germany. Usually there's Photo Index. It has really good prices, usually, and Macro Direct too. There's also Nord Photo. The website's only in German, so it's a little hard to buy if you're not, you know, fluent in German, even with Google Translate. But my partner in the darkroom buys his color paper from there. TV Photo says, so my instructor asked me to shoot on Ilford fiber-based paper and oil it to make it positive. Don't know what's that mean. Do you have any idea? Nope, never heard of shooting Ilford fiber-based paper and then oiling it. Sorry, I'll stop fiddling. No idea about that, to make it a positive. I think to make it a positive, there's a way to do it, but you have to kind of like expose it to light, then redevelop it or bleach it, something like that. I know that's how you do it on film. Don't know about paper. The Barba says, when you use photography paper instead of film, how do you expose? Well, first, photography paper is usually orthochromatic, which means it doesn't see the red light. So any source of redness will turn into being basically pure white. Second, remember the contrast is extremely high, so you want to find scenes that will benefit from that. So very low contrast scenes will come out nicely contrasty. If you're getting something very contrasty, like midday sun or something like that, you're going to find that your negative or positive will be extremely black or just white. And then exposing it, the ISO usually is currently, people suggest 3 ISO, 6 maybe. Depends on your developer. I've never exposed paper as film, so I can't say from my own experience, but that's what I've read and understood. Most people go for RC paper because fiber-based usually has a big curl and is way more expensive. So yeah, RC paper. Tim Layton has a few videos online on YouTube explaining all kinds of things about paper. I still haven't gotten into watching them all properly. But yeah, I do want to try it, especially on bigger sizes. Something like 11x14 and such would be pretty cool. It's just, I like doing portraits in that size, and ISO 6 might be a little too slow, even though people do collodion all the time. The Barba says trial and error. How says trial and error, testing different ISO. That's the only way I came up with. Exactly. Basically, that would be a good way to do it. TV Photo. Any experience with Topcon cameras? Managed to bag an Unirex with a 35 f3.5 at a flea market. Read in the old 70s photo magazine that the CIA used Topcon. Okay, so I'm not a Topcon guy. I've never used them, but I do have a friend that uses them and says they're amazing cameras. So I would say they're probably pretty good. And this guy is a hardcore shooter and collector kind of, sort of. All his gear he bought new back in the day. So he's got a Topcon. I would have to look it up, but yeah, they supposedly are really good, and the lenses are really good too.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Topcon camera. Let me see. Yeah, I'm not sure about which model. I think he's got the Super D. No, not Super. Well, yeah, supposedly they're very good. That's all I can say. So I don't know much about them. Let's see. All kickers, cool. Thanks. How? Yes, giveaway travel wide. Yeah, it's gonna be a travel wide for those who will put up with these 18 first minutes of the live stream. It's gonna be a new old stock travel wide with a 90 f8 Super Angulon, and a box of film, cable release, and we'll see how we do it. It's gonna be a sort of giveaway sale, print sale giveaway, something like it. But yeah, I gotta get it, and then I'll do a bit of a review on it. I'll show my pictures with it. As I said, I have over probably 300 shots with a travel wide, my current setup, and I think I can do interesting review about how to use it, what I learned about using it, what things or add-ons I felt were important, and which ones were useless. But yeah, it's coming soon, and as you know, travel wide, if you don't know about it, is a very inexpensive point and shoot plastic camera, that 4x5 plastic camera that came out in a Kickstarter, and they were going to release it to sell in the market openly, and it never came. I've actually tried to contact them to see if we can get that back on the market, but no response so far. So I'll push a little harder and see where it goes. Nikita.net says, thanks for the tips on Nord Photo and Macro Direct. Photo Impex is a nice one indeed. Photo Impex has a huge inventory. And if you go on their website, they have a PDF. Let me see, Photo Impex. They have like a PDF with everything they make. And if you guys don't like going through every single option and whatnot, you might want to download it. Here, download. No, let me see. Where could it be? Maybe there's no PDF anymore. They used to have a humongous PDF. It was like 100-something pages of. I don't see it. News. I have a news tab. Didn't know they had a news tab. Can't find the PDF. I'll see if I can get hold of the PDF and share it on the next video. Let me see. The Barba says, if I shoot with paper, what type should I use? Glossy, satin, or pearl? I would say, first, I don't know because I've never done it. But if I had to guess, I mean, think about if you're going to use the paper, you're going to want to scan it. Maybe gloss will be a little uncomfortable for scanning. I would say satin or pearl. Better. Maybe pearl. I like the pearl in RC paper, the Ilford pearl was my favorite when I did RC. JKL says, have you ever made a photogram? I did it in high school, but it's been forever. We even managed to do our own. We would get a negative, expose it, and then scratch it to make photograms or something like a photogram, like a negative that you would draw on. And I actually had some fun shots like that. But haven't done it ever since. So no, I guess probably would say maybe a best answer is no. But yeah, that's what I would do. And contact printing or paper negatives. Let me see. Paper negatives. Let's see. I'm trying to find about what's the best finish. Boom, 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 boom. No, thank you. Oh my God. Let me see. first page I'm finding doesn't say about the finish, which I think is important, but it doesn't say anything about finish. Okay, no finish there. I would have to Google that a bit more. But yeah, any other questions, guys? Let me know. Anyone shoot with Pentax? I have a Pentax LX, I think. This is the 51.4. It's probably the smoothest looking out of focus with it. It's so nice. The bokeh is so nice. I can't shoot with this for video because every other lens I put next to it will look too sharp, and this has that niceness. So yeah, I've been wanting to shoot with it, some film with this. Also, we'll be hopefully using my Canon FD cameras and see how that goes. Because I never shoot anything on 35 except for Leica M-mount lenses and cameras. House says, I got some expired Kodak Ectopan 100 and T-Max 400, both expired in 1995. Should I increase about 2 stops? What about developing times with HC110B for the Ectopan? Quite a rare film. I would suggest to overexpose 2 stops. Yeah, around 2 stops. And then maybe try doing, how do you say, stand development. So do HC110, but instead of B, do stand development. See how that goes. And if it has fog, there's a chemical you can use to reduce fog. Let me see. I'm trying to find which chemical. I know it in Spanish. Okay. Here there is a method on testing old paper. This would work also, I think, for old film. Oops. This is a great blog, PrainerAddict.com. JKL says, I have a Pentax Program A. I have that Pentax, I never use it. I should try to use it more. Swift Angel, Olympus Zuiko 55 1.2 is one of my favorite prime lenses. Love the bokeh with this lens. I mean, sorry. I've never been a huge out of focus kind of guy. The whole bokeh movement and shooting at 1.4 and such is something that when I started back on photography with digital, it was, you know, everyone had the lust to get a 50 1.4, 1.2 and such. And I followed that path. And after a while, I realized I didn't really like it. And I always shoot stop down and, oh, page not found. Let me see. Oh, okay, well, that was weird. I'll paste it again. Let's see if that works now. Okay, page not found. Okay, well, I'm looking at it right now. It's called Method Testing Old Paper. I'll copy the extension. It's Printer Addict, and then that. And if not, save it for later how. But what I was saying, then I started using cameras and shooting stop down, and I realized that I like that much better. Makes me think a lot more about my composition, makes me think about what's in the background that I, you know, want to include or I don't want to include. And I become more critical when I'm shooting. You compose more on your camera and less with just unfocusing. Of course, sometimes when you're doing portraits especially, you don't want the background to be perfectly sharp. But I don't use the resource so much as I used to. And I find the 51.4 right now for me would be pretty much useless. I think all the lenses I own now are f2 or darker. And being, for example, f3.5 on this has such a huge amount of bokeh So if I shoot at 3.5, it's like a 1 point something on normal 35. I can screenshot and send it to you. Let me see. I'll screenshot right now. Oops, not in selfie mode. There we go. I'll send it to you after how. But yeah, Printer Attic is a great website. Let me just share the normal website with you guys, and then you can search the articles too. JKL says, have you tried any Contax SLR? No, I have never used any of the Contax SLRs. I do own a Contax G2, and I've owned the Contax T2 and T3, the point and shoots. And the 3 cameras are amazing. The T2 was a loan, so I gave it back, even though I would have loved to keep it. The T3 I bought years ago for my wife to use, and she never got to the hang of it, so I sold it, and I should have kept it considering the prices right now, because I wasn't a 35 shooter back in the day. And the G2 I got recently, and it's very, very, very fun, but I know the day it'll fail, it'll be dead. So that's that with the G2s. JKL says, I have the Nikon FA with a 35 to 70. I've always been a Nikon user, but then when I started shooting film again, I started with my old F80, and then I went to Hasselblad, and then I never really got to 35 again. Tom Miller, Bucket, anything not in focus, I never considered it an artistic device. Yeah, I've learned, I mean, I do open my lens if I need to, depending on the light, but I don't shoot like that mostly. I usually shoot, I think 99% of the time on f8 or f11 on my 35 cameras. Medium format, I do usually open it a bit more because of the depth of field, and the amount of light you need is different. But I'll shoot portraits at f4, f5.6, and it's great. If you shoot portraits at f2.8 or f2 on medium format, just consider your picture to be blurred or out of focus. The people shooting Contax, the Contax 645 famous wedding photography camera, actually says on the instructions that at f2 they can't assure you to get proper focus. So that tells me that I wouldn't shoot at that aperture. Large format is even crazier. I should close the lens down, f16, 22, 32, whatever you need to achieve the depth of field. Soon I'll be shooting just out of my house. There's a building that I kind of find interesting, and the fact is, the way I want to take the picture, there's no way I can make any movements to gain depth of field unless I stop down the lens as much as I can. So I'll probably shoot it in 4x5. I'll shoot it with a 90, and I'll close it as much as the 90 will go. So probably f32, f45. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'll make a little video about it, sharing what I feel is what I want to do. There are 3 really old buildings that have this intermediate space that's basically cut out of a mountain. So it leaves this weird mixture of these old houses, which are brick and old and cheap housing, with this wall of concrete that's basically just poured badly, and there's like a dead tree on one, there's like some electricity pole on the other one. So I want to do a triptych or diptych of either 2 of the spaces or 3, and I want to keep it exactly in the same composition. So I'm going to measure exactly where I put what corner to make exactly the same picture of the 3 buildings. So that will be one of the videos that's coming with my architecture series, which I'm overdue, but I will get back to it and start producing more content there. TV photo, interesting how these things goes in waves of popularity. I guess my biggest bucket monster is the Mayer Optics 135, 2.8, and M42. I mean, I think, for example, for video, it's pretty nice now that I'm into video. with the YouTube channel. I've never had done video before. It's nice when you're shooting a detailed something to use a long lens. On the Intrepid interview, I used the 100 f2.8, not the f2. And it gave that separation that was very interesting. But when shooting pictures, I usually, in my style of photography, not use that as a resource. House says, true, when I start to shoot digital in high school, always try to shoot at 1.4. Now I mostly shoot at 5.6 f8. Large format always goes to f22 and f45. I think one changes when you start. The main problem, and I think this is a problem and even more today, is that we come from seeing that professional pictures, and I quote that like that because I feel it's the common popular concept, is that professional pictures have to have that separation, that like 3D effect. If you take a picture with any user-friendly camera, like very simple camera that any father, mother, grandmother will use to shoot their grandsons or their soccer team, it's always like a lens that's 3.5 or 5.6 when you zoom in. And that kind of gives you a bit of everything in focus. And they kind of made that so it's very simple for everyone to get pictures in focus. It's very simple photography, easy for everyone. And then those professionals would have those lenses with f1.2, 1.4, 1.8, and have that separation. And so every time you see a picture and there's separation, everyone's like, oh my God, that's awesome. Professional setup. And that's why now phones are replicating that on software, which in my opinion looks pretty weird and terrible, but I guess that's the, you know, the new thing. But yeah, I find that when you are able to stop down your lens and still have an interesting picture, then it's when you've got it. And if you look at the street photography, anyone that shot during the last 50 years or large format photography, it's very rare to find anyone using a wide open aperture as a professional result. Even in, how do you say it, in model shoots and stuff like that, they would not shoot wide open. If you go, there's this guy that's no longer alive, sadly, because I would have loved to see her. Let me see. I'm so bad at names. Okay. So if you, one of the people that I've seen in fashion photography that's amazing is Herb Ritz. Sadly passed away from, I think, AIDS. And his photography is amazing. Models, black and white. He did like the Vogue and stuff the other day. And you look at this, I mean, there's not one shot that's wide open. Not one single one. Let me share with you guys. This guy's, to me, amazing. But yeah, that's basically what I do and why I do it. Cameraplex, Cameraville here. Hi, friends. Oh, Cameraville. I've been reading about your, well, I've been hearing about Cameraville with Camera Ventures in U-Haul. I would say, yeah. I'm interested in a 50 f1.1 purely to shoot at night at infinity, street architecture, etc. I mean, I've been offered the 7 Artisans 51.1, and I met with Miguel in San Francisco with that had that 50 f1.1 from 7 Artisans, and I mean, I wouldn't see myself shooting a 1.1, and even less probably at night, unless I wanted to shoot handheld, maybe. But yeah, I would recommend more using a normal lens, not a 1.1, and a tripod or monopod, and shooting, you know, instead of 1/25 of a second, shooting a 1 second exposure, and you probably get some fun results. But yeah, those 1.1, the 7 Artisans, Miguel said that he thought it was starting to look good at 1.4. So yeah, basically that's what he told me, and it worked really well. Leighton says, with street and a rangefinder, zone focus is the way to go. As you are saying, go f8 and b there. Gary Winogrand used the 28-35 on a Leica. Boom, you are in focus. Yeah, with the 28, it's so easy. I've shot with a 28 on a Leica, and you just don't have to focus. You just shoot. It's point and shoot. Hi, Ludmila. But yeah, it's basically, I have a project that I started with a super wide, the Hasselblad super wide, and it was all shot handheld, and I was chasing basically old men in front of modern architecture. And I'm actually gonna scan that work because I never scanned it. I only did contact prints and proper prints, which should be somewhere around here. I think I've shown you guys before. And I'm gonna scan it because I'm gonna apply for there's a master here in Bilbao, photography master. And you can send your project and get, how do you call it, a grant? So I'm gonna see if I can get a grant for that. So I'll be shooting maybe again wide street photography, even though I sold my super wide. You're shooting a 50 mil on your Leica. I'm just never been a wide, and that's why I sold my super wide, and now I'm trying to make a project again on it. But I've wanted to get a 21 for the Leica, and I haven't. I think a 28 will be my limit on the wide side of things. I do have the wide lux, and that's a super fun camera. And I actually developed on Saturday 2 or 3 rolls in New York at the Guggenheim with the wide lux and some Ilford HP5 at 1600, and some of the Oculus. I don't know how you say that. Where the World Trade Center and all that was there, and also with a super wide, and hopefully I'll be probably not scanning it, maybe just printing it and sharing. Oh, also big news, which, well, I find it's big news. Finally, in my studio, they have brought fiber optics, which will mean I will be able to stream from my darkroom properly from the studio and share darkroom sessions. Maybe I'll do the live stream from my studio from now on. I don't know if next week they'll have time to install it, but it will be happening like that. I might bring live streaming in the darkroom once every now and then, maybe once a week, or whenever I try to go through my Patreon and then post it later on YouTube. But yeah, there's gonna be fast internet there, so hopefully, I've been trying to do it, but basically my darkroom is such a bunker that not even 4G or LTE or whatever you guys call it comes through. So hopefully I'll get super speed internet and I'll be able to upload and share live streaming from the darkroom. And probably I'll do it through the Patreon just for, saying thank you to everyone there. And then later on putting it on YouTube and sharing, so that way, it gets shared a bit of everywhere. Swift Angel 88, shooting wide open definitely has its place in photography. Used it mostly wide open during my daughter's confirmation and with beautiful results. I mean, I do shoot close to wide open when I shoot my daughters. I took a few pictures this weekend of my daughter, and then she chopped her hair off with her scissors, or her art scissors. And I should shoot a comparison between her hair before and after. But she shaved basically the top of her hair or head. And I shot that with the RZ. Oh, sorry, it's kind of a heavy setup. The RZ67 at f4. So not wide open, but close to wide open. And yeah, this is my favorite setup. So if you ever want to ask me what's your favorite camera setup, I think by far it's the Mamiya RZ 6x7. I had a few of them before, sold them, and then I got back into them. You can see people that want to know how big. These are the RZ. This is the GW680. They're pretty much the same size in terms of footprint. Just the RZ is like twice the weight, at least, of the 680. Swift Angel says, doing mostly street photography, I never use wide open lenses unless I need it for more light. Same thing. When I shoot my style of 35 is family street photography. So it's my kids doing whatever they want to do, and I shoot behind them. When I went to New York, I shot 20 rolls in 5 or 6 days, and I did not shoot, I think, one, maybe two street photography or street pictures that were not involving my kids. It was basically my kids in New York. And all the crazy stuff they did, where we pretty much let them do almost anything they want and jump on everything they want with respect to others. So it was pretty fun to see them just being wild through New York. Lumila says, I want to buy an instant back for the H1, but not sure if I should pick up the Polaroid. Do you think New 55 or someone will bring back that format? I have some FP 100 too, but couldn't find examples. So, okay, so right now for instant photography on 4x5, there's basically no option. The Polaroid 405, so 405 is the back you want to use for the FP100C in the smaller version, so the 3x4 FP. If you buy the FP100C 4x5 version, you need the Polaroid 550, so 550. If you want to shoot New 55, which is becoming rare to find because basically they stopped, you will need the Polaroid 545 back. So those would be the three backs and the three instant film you could find. Not made new anymore, sadly. New 55 will most probably bounce back some way, but we'll see what happens. I'll let you guys know in the news, and if they come back, I'll probably make a special video about it. But yeah, so basically, yeah, that was what you need to use. Swift Angel, new Polaroid NOR 55 will be coming out with a replacement for 100 FP 100C anytime soon. Yeah, I'm pretty sad to say that probably it won't be seen any longer. And Lumila, if you want to get a back for New 55, I think I have like 8 or 9 backs. So let me know, and when I'll send you the Chamonix camera, I'll send you a back so you can test it. But I don't have any film with me. Actually, I do have some film, but I have some Polaroid 55, which I hopefully will use soon. Tom Miller, closest I've ever got to Mamiya was my first SLR Mamiya Secor 1000 DTL. Well, Tom, if I can say anything in favor of Mamiya is try some of their medium format cameras. To me, I'm not a big fanboy of the brands or anything like that. I've never been like that, at least that I know of. But Mamiya has some of the most interesting solutions for film cameras in medium format, especially. The RZ and the bellows and the rotating back is amazing. The RB67, basically the same thing, just mechanical, amazing camera. Cheap, cheap, cheap. And I mean cheap, quoting cheap, because I don't know what, depends on your budget, but you can get an RZ for $500, an RB for like 300. And that, considering it's a 6x7 medium format, when a Hasselblad's almost $1,000, to me feels cheap. The TLR, the Mamiya C330 is amazing. The Mamiya 645 are really great cameras for very cheap, amazing lenses too. Mamiya 7, nothing to say about that. It's like the best rangefinder camera out there. The Mamiya 6, pretty much the same thing, just square. So yeah, every single Mamiya I've touched, I found it to be amazing. Maybe the worst one, or the one I've disliked the most, has been the Mamiya 645 Super. And it just felt so plasticky and cheap. But apart from that, it made great shots. And the Cantrell project says 20 rolls in 5 days. Come again. Yeah, I was in New York for 5 or 6 days at the most. And first thing I did is I grabbed an Uber, went to Adorama, bought 20 rolls, and I walked back to the house and or flat. And I spent the next 5 days or 6 days shooting every day, everything I could. I was shooting the Leica M and an M2 and the wide looks. So, 36 exposures on one, 20 on the other. So it's 55 exposures if you shoot 2 rolls with the camera, each camera. But yeah, I shot a lot. Let me see. Kyle says, just logged in, Cat Lab's going to make the smaller size packed film. From what I've been speaking to Cat Labs, they are 100% committed to making pack film. They have everything towards it. There's this thing they found that I can't say that could make it probably possible, and it's a very important part of the project. But also being said, they are aware of the market and the demand and the other options, for example, Instax and now the Instacon RF70 and the Mint cameras, basically the Polaroid and such. So they're aware of the market and they're seeing, taking little baby steps towards it. But I'm confident, and there was enough interest in people willing to buy it. Probably something would come out. But I can't say 100% if it's going to happen. It's a huge investment and a huge endeavor, and we'll see, basically. Swift Angel, I still use FP100C for my RB with a Polaroid back. I just bought a lot of FP100C earlier last year from Japan. I use it on my RZ all the time too. Basically shoot pictures of kids and stuff. Any tips on a good hot shoe rangefinder? Hot shoe rangefinder. I use the Zeiss Icon rangefinder, and it has a hot shoe. I would say this is a great camera. So I would recommend that. Shooting instant film on Hasselblad 500 CM. Okay, shooting instant film, the FP100C on a Hasselblad is probably the most frustrating thing because you get that super, super small 6x6, which is 56 by 56 millimeter shot on that huge amount of Polaroid. Today, in this day and age, I would highly recommend not doing it. I have a Hasselblad back over there, and I got it from a friend for free because it was no longer available, the FP. And I highly recommend the minimum you use is something like the Mamiya RZ because it shoots that whole square. It does a 7x7 instant picture, so it's pretty amazing. I love shooting with this. There's a special back, which I haven't been able to find in the market ever, from Arca Swiss for the RB 6x7 that will shoot 2 vertical shots, and you won't lose any of the instant film. And it's amazing because you can do a close-up of someone's face and then the other side of someone's face in the same picture. And it's the most, probably one of the accessories that I want to find really badly, and I still haven't found it. So if anyone has one and wants to lend it to me till I run out of FP, I'd be very glad. TB Photo says, have you seen on YouTube some people modding Polaroid Sun 600 film to use in pack film holders? I've seen some people doing that, but I haven't seen any YouTube videos. Pedro, hey Pedro. Diana says, I haven't seen them. Do I search for it in YouTube? Will Orel, thanks for the show. Would be your alternative for Fuji Acros 100? So I'm working on basically finding what could be the best alternative. And I'm down to 2 films, basically. It would be T-Max 100, because the reciprocity isn't that bad on T-Max. And then maybe Delta 100, but I haven't tried it ever, so I can't speak for that film. Or FP100, FP4, sorry. So FP4 probably exposed at ISO 80 could be very good, but you'll never get that reciprocity failure that Acros was so famous for, sadly. But it's been a while that I've been supporting Ilford HP5 mostly because I can find it in every size I shoot, and it's fairly inexpensive comparing it to Kodak at least. So yeah, I would say those are the choices if I had to pick. TV Photo says, I found it by chance as I remember that they custom part exposed in the pack film holder, then switches the cassette to a Polaroid and develop it. Yeah, the whole thing is you load it in your back for your medium format in the dark. You shoot, then you unload it in the dark, put it in a Polaroid camera, and then you process it. It can be done I don't see myself doing that. I feel it's way too much work for, you know, Instax film or Polaroid film. Whoa, sorry. Oscar, I meant an accessory rangefinder that fits in a hot shoe. Oh, accessory rangefinder. The Photoman was amazing. Oscar, if you can find that. There's a Photoman rangefinder. And then the Russian one I found to be pretty unreliable. I found the best way to focus is basically guesstimating. On the travel wide, I got the the Russian Blick rangefinder and guesstimated in the end just by my eye because I found it to be very unreliable. What I do is I try to think, maybe take a few measurements before to get your head kind of around of how far 3 meters could be or 5 meters could be, and then just start shooting and stopping down your lens. That's what I would say. Gianluca says, I'll just use my Mamiya RZ. That's the best choice for FP. Pedro Cardoso, when you close the aperture lens diaphragm, there is some depth of field for the paper for the focus to the better. Oh my God, Pedro, you're making no sense with that phrase. If you're talking about when you're exposing on an enlarger, yes, when you stop down your lens, you gain depth of field for your paper if you're exposing in the darkroom. Goritats, Konica XR AF for $15 is a pretty good deal. A Konica XR AF is usually priced around $300 to $400 US. So if that's $15, that's not a good deal. It's an extremely good deal. I would probably suspect that it's either broken or they don't know what they're selling. But I would never see something like that. The Cantrell Project says, haven't bought any photography gear in more than 6 months. Does that, oops, mean I'm cured of gas? I feel great. I think gas does never go away. I've been pretty good with buying gear in the last few months. Someone actually quoted that I was buying gear even though I made the Don't Buy More Camera Gear video. But I never said I would not buy more gear. I just said I found that buying more gear and not finishing work was a bit of a, you know, vicious circle. But considering I've built myself a studio and a darkroom and I'm using it, I consider that I can purchase things towards taking pictures or different pictures for different projects nowadays. But still, I try not to buy too much. Swift Angel says, try Fomapan 100. I've used Fomapan 100 only in 4x5 and 8x10, so I can't speak much of it. I like it in that format. Joseph says, FP4 is much more old-fashioned looking compared to Acros, more grain as well. Yeah, the grain structure is totally different. But, I mean, maybe depending on how you develop it, you can get something that doesn't look exactly the same, but, you know, could work for people's photography. Layton says, I'm hoping that Fuji just allows Acros to be made under license by, for example, Ferrania, but probably won't happen. Layton, I'm sorry to say that I'm like 1,000,000% sure that Fuji will never disclose any of their formulas or their patents or anything like that to anyone. And every time I think about it, I just imagine those the Japanese, and during war, they rather die than, you know, get captured and all that. They have a sense of pride of what they do, and the research they put into their films is something so big that they will probably rather just keep it in a, you know, vault under, you know, lock than give it to anyone or sell it to anyone. Sadly, it would be awesome if Fuji disclosed the, you know, the formulas to make Neopan 400 and 1600 and 100 to someone like Ferrania or Ilford or Kodak or Adox or anyone like that. But I think sadly it won't happen. Pedro says, and we are going to see that video about washing film at 0 degrees. Yes, but Pedro, as I said before, I'm not posting any new videos until I make my Kickstarter video because it's being way too long and I have to get it out. But yeah, the washing film at 0 degrees will be out soon and more in that line. Tom Miller, Cantrell, there's no known cure for gas. Yeah, the best solution for gas is basically, I think, probably stopping photography altogether, and then you won't want to buy it. But then you'll get into something else. Kyle says, anyone ever shot Shanghai GP3 ISO 104x5 characteristics developer? Kyle, I actually just shipped the box to someone today. I've shot it a little bit. Kind of looks like Fomapan. It's the classic grain, not too grainy, but not too clean either. I used developer HC110 in B, and it looked fine. I would have to scan some results to share with you. But yeah, the film was okay. I don't find it that cheap to be shooting it consistently. I find Filmapan 100 to be the same price and well known to be a very decent film. M Sulo, sorry. Can you check the water meter as an accessory rangefinder? Not that expensive and pretty small. Yeah, there's a few different ones. There's a Voigtlander rangefinder 2, which is also, I think, pretty inexpensive and pretty small. Goritar says, bought in a thrift store, but the down button was broken, so you can't do exposure compensation, changing ISO, etc. That's sad. Maybe you can get that fixed. Pedro, sorry, I was using Google Translate here. Pedro, you can speak to me in Spanish if you want. I'll answer in English or in Spanish. Will Orel says, I'm thinking to buy a Fuji GS645S for hiking since it's lightweight. Would you recommend it? Let me Google that because I know there's a Fuji that has issues. Oops, sorry, I don't want to mute you. Search Fuji. Okay, if it's the Bellows one, Imágenes. No, it's not the Bellows one. It's awesome. This GS645S that has no bellows is an amazing camera. Just be aware of the advance will most probably, I think, break. They end up breaking, but it's really good. Basically all the Fuji medium format cameras that I know of are amazing. Sharp lenses, very small footprint. Great little cameras. I had the GA645W and it was awesome, and I sold it. But yeah, I would get one of those in a heartbeat. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Oh, it's 10 o'clock. I'm gonna give a few more minutes because I was late. Let me see. Now that Fuji ended black and white, does that mean E6 is next? I thought Ferrania made black and white a step to E6. Yeah, Ferrania will make E6. That's black and white was the first step to making E6, but first they have to basically finish fixing the building. I've heard two people in the business, and not just YouTubers or bloggers or whatever, but people that know what they're doing and what they're speaking, say that Fuji has already stopped production of their film, except for Instax, and everything they're using is frozen stock. So what basically they have is jumbo rolls packed in the freezer, the fridge, or something like it, and they are cutting it to size depending on the demand. That's why they're giving an approximate date of when things will be discontinued, probably because they know how much they have in storage and how much it will take for them to sell it, depending on the sales they're having. Another thing that is an indicator of them probably stopping film altogether is all their film and is being shipped with exactly the same expire date. All the film that I've seen and the store that I'm very friends with is 2019, when Ilford is already shipping, I think, 2021. So that probably indicates something not good about that. Let me see. So sorry to say that probably Fuji is totally out of the market. Leighton says, Will Oren, great camera, but suffers from electronic issues. They do break. A friend of mine has lost 2 over the last year with dead electronics. Okay, well, thanks, Leighton, for giving your input, and sorry that I recommended it. I have a friend that uses one of them similar, and so far so good. Gianluca, are you Spanish or you do speak Spanish? Gianluca, I'm 100% Spanish. Well, maybe not 100%. but I was born in Spain, raised in Spain, lived in Spain, work in Spain, and in Spain right now. So yeah, I'm probably 100% Spanish if you had to say. But my mom was British and my wife is American, so that's why I speak this weird English American accent style. And then most of my language is being basically I've forgotten from not using my brain, I guess, as much in English because I live in Spain. M. Sulo says, Fuji GS645 is problematic on the rangefinder. It gets stuck when focusing from infinity. Okay. Well, I guess I should have researched a bit more. M. Sulo says, but a pretty nice camera sold mine 2 weeks ago to start large format. Well, that's a good move. Joey says, Kodak needs to get Ektachrome out before Fuji gets rid of the E6 eventually. Otherwise, we might lose all the business developing it. That is very true, Joey. If Fuji gets out of slide all the way, like it looks like it's going to do, and Kodak hasn't come out with Ektachrome, most labs are just going to ditch it. And Fuji is the one making the E6 chemistry, at least here in Spain. I don't know in the US, but all the mini labs and all the proper labs are using Fuji chemistry for E6. So I'm pretty sure if they stop doing E6 film, they're going to stop doing E6 chemistry, and then we're going to have a big issue. Swift Angel, looks like I need to buy a big freezer and a big freezer for chemistry too. Ludmila says, yeah, I don't know if I understood well. Is Intrepid making an 4x5 enlarger? Any due time do you know? Yeah, and Luca, most people think I'm American, but no, I'm in Spain. That's why it's dark outside. It's 10 o'clock right now. So the 4x5 enlarger, yes, they're making it. It's basically a Graflock 4x5 enlarger, kind of like how Graflex had it and Linhof had it. And it's going to go on the back with LEDs, and it's going to go through the lens. So you will use a processing lens, so a larger lens or something like that. And you can project it on the floor, you can project it on the wall, on the ceiling if that's your thing, and enlarge your negatives or project your slides. For example, you could project a slide to show family or friends in a dark room. When is it coming? So far, I don't have a delivery date, but I know Max is working on it, and it was supposed to be coming out this year, so I'm guessing soon. I have had a bit of a confirmation of when will version 3 come of their 4x5, but I probably shouldn't say when, but it will be coming sometime this year, and that will be on the video I'm editing soon and posting. So yeah, guys, it's 10:06. I'm gonna go fall asleep. As I said, thanks for joining me and asking all the questions you guys ask. Thanks for those answering questions that I probably answered incorrectly due to lack of knowledge, like the Fuji stuff. I appreciate that. As always, I said I won't be posting much more till I post the Kickstarter video. So that will be out as soon as possible because I really want to continue with my large format series and my architecture series. So yeah, thanks guys, and good night. See you next week live, if not before, from my darkroom. Bye.